Hello guys, this is my interview with John from the Dubliners. Interview was done a day before St. Patrick's Day. I hope you like it. Okay, so John, at first, hello, it's an honor to have you here. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Nate. Yeah, good form.
You have any special St. Patrick's Day preparation for tomorrow?
It's all going to be online, I think. But I'm not involved in anything this year. I'll be playing for myself at home. I think I'll be practicing for next year in the hope that next year will be normal or something resembling normal.
Yeah, definitely. Now all concerts are becoming online and like a special, like a new reality or something like that. So second best.
Yeah.
So during this pandemic, did you learn anything new? Many people started to bake, to I don't know, write books and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got a few invitations to do a few things. I was asked to write a poem for a traditional music festival online, and I wrote this poem about just images of sessions, with fiddles and pipes and flutes and bodhráns and so on. Oh yeah, something else I did. There was a national event organised by Poetry Ireland, inviting people to express their feelings about the pandemic over the last year. And they asked me to write an initial line just to open the discussion or open the poem. And then it was open to anybody from the country to contribute just one line each person. And then a poetry editor I think he received over 500 lines.
Oh,
and
great.
It was his job to put them all together just based on my initial line. And then my final job was to add a final line to close off the poem at the end. So my first line was intrepid intruder, stalker of unwashed hands. That was my that was my opening line.
That's nice.
And my final line, or part of my final line, was the intruder is stalked by a needle. And in between, you have about 550 lines contributed by just anybody at all. You didn't have to be a writer or a poet, just any member of the public was invited to contribute a line. So an interesting project. They called it a poemathon, like a marathon of a poem, a poemathon. So that was something else I was involved in. And I've been composing some tunes just as a hobby, like I've been always doing. I'm still playing my fiddle and tin whistle nearly every day. And I have a grandson who lives about 50 miles from here, and he's 16. He just took up the tin whistle just about a year ago. So I've been giving him tin whistle lessons on Skype, and that's working out very well. So plenty of things to keep oneself occupied,
So last year you also issued your, let's say, your first solo music album called Flirting Fiddles.
Yes.
Are you satisfied with its reception? I've heard it a couple of times and it's really well made. I mean, it's all instrumental, but it's really nice.
You like it, yeah?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I've been promising myself to do an album of my own compositions for a long time. And over the years, I've been contributing different tracks to Dubliners albums. But I always wanted to get a collection of my own pieces together on one album in my own name. And when I kept putting it off from year to year. But when I reached the age of 80, a year and a half ago, my children said, "What about that album, Daddy? Isn't the time? Wouldn't this be a good year to do it in now that you're 80?" So that's where that idea came from. But I'm happy with the reaction. It's had a very good positive reaction generally, and there's a good cross section of different styles of tunes on it, as you probably heard.
They also plan to make a follow-up to it, like a part 2.
Possibly. I don't look too far into the future to make plans, but I've quite a number of tunes written that I haven't used yet, so. Maybe when I'm 85, it might be a good year.
So if we move to your history with the Dubliners, you are one of the founding members. Next year will be 60 years from your foundation. Do you plan to do something special?
I'm the last one standing, as they say. They're all gone now, except for Sean Cannon, of course, still on the road. But haven't thought about a 60th anniversary, but something worthwhile thinking about, I suppose. We could go through all the catalogue and see what albums or tracks. There could be a lot of tracks still unreleased, studio tracks that were done and not finished and that kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe
So,
like a box set or something like
yes,
the vault.
yeah. Well, over the years, there have been a lot of compilation albums, they've been nearly overdone by record companies. The best of and the very best of and this, that and the other,
Yeah, I have like 6 of them and they're on the constant rotation, yes.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
But it was interesting to see when I was in Ireland like 2 years ago. Me and my girlfriend made like a full circle. So we started in Dublin and then we head south and then to Cork and up to Sligo and then Belfast and down. And I was on the look for the record. So I was trying to, since you are from Ireland, where is the best way to buy them then in Ireland. But it was really hard to track down. I mean, I was in a bunch of vinyl stores, like secondhand things and so on. I found some pretty damaged records, but not that much. But then when we were in Germany, like when was that? 2019, when the Dublin Legends performed in Munich, there was a record store and there was like lots of records. This is also a place where I bought most of them. But it was really interesting to see like you had like a strong market in Germany. I mean, also Dublin Legends are still performing there constantly and so on.
Yes, yeah.
Another question is also connected with your studio discography. In 1992, so when you were honoring your 30th anniversary, you also issued a compilation, A Graying, where you also used a recording with Rory Gallagher on the song Barley and Grape Rack.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about the session? How did it went down? Did you record more stuff that remains unreleased, maybe?
We just recorded one song. On that occasion for that album, we had various guests. And Ronnie had known Rory Gallagher. He had met him a few times in Germany. And we just thought it would be an interesting combination, Ronnie's voice and Rory Gallagher's voice, to record a song. So we settled on his Barley and the Grape Rack, one of the songs that he had written. And we were actually on an English tour at the time. And we had on the afternoon of a London concert, we had a few hours free and we met him in his studio just outside London. And with very little preparation, we just got the song together with just after about an hour or so, trying out some different ideas. And it turned out very well. I think there's a lovely, raw, natural feeling about the recording and the contrast in voices between Ronnie and Rory. And I remember saying to Rory after the recording, we got it all done in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And we went on our way into London, did a gig that night. Things were done as casually as that in those days. And I remember saying to Rory afterwards, I said, God, Rory, I was a little bit nervous about recording with you today. We've never done your style of music before. And I was amused at his response. He said, you've no idea how nervous I was to be recording with the Dubliners.
He seemed to be like a down-to-earth and really reachable guy.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So that was. It's nice to have that track now that he's gone, of course, as well.
And did you maybe plan back then for any further collaboration, like a full record or something like that?
No, not really. It was just we were happy to get one track for this particular album at the time. If everybody had lived longer, we might have gotten together and done something else, because we got on really well together, and we got him on to do a guest spot on one of our London shows about a year after that, and he came on and we did the Barley and the Grape Rag together,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so nice playing with different musicians, different styles, and expanding a little bit and adapting,
Yeah, this year also marks 10 years when you performed in Križanke in Ljubljana. And I found it interesting because this was also the first time when we met. I will send you a picture later if you wish, in Križanke, and it was really nice concert. And especially because, as far as I'm aware, it was not like one of the last few, but still close to Barney's death. And that then brings us to another question. Last Christmas season, you also issued your, let's say, lost recording of the last concert with Barney. Do you plan maybe to use it for some kind of now 60th anniversary thing, maybe like special, I don't know, Blu-ray or maybe on vinyl, something like that?
Yeah, we may do it on vinyl. We're doing an audio version of the video at the moment, getting that mixed. But that was our last. That was in Christchurch Cathedral. You've seen it, have you?
Yes, yeah, it's available on YouTube. So
All right, okay.
I had an opportunity to check it, and it's really well made, especially when you were using the backup singers. If it comes out on a vinyl, I will be the first day buyer. Yes.
Yeah. When you mentioned Lovely Anna there, that was, what was the name of the place? Križanka, was it?
Križanka, yes. That's.
That was an open air venue with awning overhead, shelter overhead. Yes. Yeah, there was always a great atmosphere in those concerts. A lot of young people.
This was also the time when I was becoming a fan of your music. Now I'm like probably the hardcore one, and I was really, let's say, shocked when I got the opportunity to meet you. So in the backstage, and I was probably the same thing like you had with Rory. I was like, okay, these are my idols, and it was really once in a lifetime.
Yeah, always a nice place to play. I remember one name of something from a menu there. It was one of our favorite things to eat when we got there. I think it's called Ligne Najaro.
Ligne, yeah, the small, like squids, yeah.
Yeah, is that how you say it? Ligne Najaro?
Actually, in Slovenian, it's Ligni in plural. So the letter I, but it's pronounced like E in English. It's then Ligni.
I see.
J and I are together, then Y.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
These were seconds for grammar. And how do you comment the current status of Irish folk music? It seems to be getting stronger. I mean, I also, a couple of weeks ago, I also had an interview with George Murphy. He said something like that one of the reasons why Irish music is so, let's say, timeless or popular, if you wish, between non-Irish people is also because you have like very rich history regarding the conflict with British and the whole diaspora thing that many Irish people moved out and so on. And so what's your take on it? Why is the Irish music so popular, so timeless?
Yeah, I think there are a number of reasons. Well, there's quite a wide range of subjects covered in the music. It's not all revolution songs. Some songs of rebellion, love songs, working songs. You know, there's quite a wide variety of that people can identify with. And I think in the Industrial Revolution around Europe, generally a lot of the folk music was lost, and whereas in Ireland it remained very much alive. And I think people like to identify with something like that. You know, that it just means something special to them. And I think there's also something about our general attitude to life and to music. We're fairly casual people, and we don't take life too seriously. And in Germany, I often notice where they're very punctual and law-abiding. You know, say a concert was to start at 8 o'clock. If we didn't appear by 8:01, they'd start a slow hand clap, and we'd be quite happy to let them clap away for about 5 minutes, and then we'd just amble onto the stage quite casually, which is totally against their way of doing things. But I think secretly part of themselves would secretly like to be like that, but they couldn't. And I think that was part of the attraction. But there's a certain wildness and abandon in the music as well. I think that they just somehow identify with that, and it's all part of what they would partly like to be themselves, I think, you know. That's my own theory.
Now, since you have lots of time on your hands, are you also maybe planning to write memoirs, maybe an autobiography?
I started this year, but I haven't done as much as I thought I would. I have a few chapters written, but now that I'm the last one who, a lot of the stories would be things that happened on the road, and I'm the last one now who remembers all these things. So I feel a certain responsibility to get moving on it and get a good biography story of the Dubliners from the inside, as it were.
So are you planning to, let's say, write an autobiography covering your life from your birth to now, or do you plan maybe to do it like?
Yeah, I think a combination of my own history combined with the Dubliners, and the Dubliners from the inside, from my point of view, it would be mainly based on that kind of a theme, you know.
Like a special picture book with the quotes and behind the scenes stories and stuff like that?
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit of a hoarder. I have loads and loads of stuff here in my office, loads of scrap cuttings and press clippings, and going back for the last 50 years. So I have all the material here. If I just had the discipline to sit down and spend longer at it, you know, but it's too many distractions. I'm also writing poetry. I don't know if I could send you my book of poetry if you don't have it already.
No, actually, I don't know.
Yeah, I brought out. I've been writing poetry as a hobby for the last. Oh, I only started when I was about 60, so it's only the last 20 years or so. But I got a poetry publisher brought out my first collection. When was it? About 5 years ago.
Oh
It's
no,
called,
I didn't hear for it. No.
yeah, it's called Fiddle Dreams, and there's some nice ones about music. There's a poem for each of the Dubliners, Luke and Ronnie and Kieran and Barney. There's all the original Dubliners are there, and some poet. There's a poem for each of them. A poem about fiddle making and music, and yeah, quite a cross section of different things.
So can the stuff be also ordered online?
Yeah, it's possible, I know, to get it on Amazon Books. It's available there. Would you like to hear a quick poem that I wrote?
Yeah, definitely. That's always welcome. Yes.
I wrote this one for Luke Kelly because I think Luke had a special gift of phrasing a song and interpreting a song. And sometimes at the end of a line, he would stretch out a note that little bit longer than you were expecting. And it left a certain tension between him and the audience. Left you a little bit worried that he wasn't going to get into the next line on time. But he always somehow did. I called it the long note. It goes, "You were the one for the phrasing, Luke. I loved the way you played hide and seek with the pulse of a song, stretching a note beyond the bar line till you left us dangling at a cliff edge. With the thread about to snap, you rescued the rhythm and reeled us in to catch a missing heartbeat."
Oh, beautiful.
That's nice, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah, and Luke seemed to be like a unsung hero of the Irish music, because as far as I was born probably like a decade later when he passed.
Yes.
But as far as I found it, he was also like not just, let's say, within the Irish music, so not just as the Dubliners or maybe the Clancy brothers and so on, but also he was like hanging out with Jimi Hendrix and the Kings, so he was also like I don't know, maybe if experimenting is the correct term, but he was also.
No, that's true. Yeah, he was a bit of a rock and roller in a way, and he was like an Irish rock star.
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, but he did meet people like Jimi Hendrix and Paul McCartney and some of these guys who were hanging around London back in the 60s and 70s, you know. And I remember we used to meet a group called the Hollies, an English group called the Hollies, Graham Nash and some of those guys. We used to stay in the same hotel and have sessions late into the night, you know. People would be surprised to hear.
Now you give me something to be on the lookout to hear, yeah.
Yes.
So they also follow the younger artists on the Irish folk. You maybe have any special names that you would like to give a shout out, like to say you should check this and that?
Yeah, well, some of the new generation of singers. You mentioned George Murphy; he'd be one. Declan O'Rourke and Damien Dempsey, Imelda May, and Glenn Hansard. You may have heard of. I think he plays in Slovenia a bit. So there's a whole new generation of singers that have been influenced by Ronnie and Luke and some of our way of dealing with the music. You know, it's been passed on to a new generation of singers, if you like, and that's nice to see. I had an 80th birthday concert myself in Dublin just 2 years, well, a year and a half ago, a year last Christmas. And I had all these guys on as guests. I had Declan O'Rourke and Glenn Hansard and Melda May come on and sang, and we had a wonderful, wonderful time. So it's nice for me to be able to relate to a whole new generation of singers, you know.
Yeah, especially with the catalog. So you performed with, I mean, not with just Irish artists, but also a bunch of others. So can you maybe tell us which, let's say, collaboration is the one that you are most proud of?
It's hard to say. I played with...
or maybe if there is somebody who you still...
I played with Kate Bush. She made an album back in, I think it was around 86 maybe, called The Hounds of Love. And Bill Whelan, the guy who wrote the music for Riverdance, he was producing a few tracks for Kate Bush in Dublin. And I was invited in to play fiddle on one of her tracks. It was called The Jig of Life, I think it was called. And we formed a very nice relationship, Kate Bush and myself. And when I was in England touring with the Dubliners later on, I invited her to some of our concerts. And we kept up a correspondence of a sort, you know, exchanging Christmas cards every year and that kind of thing. A really nice girl.
Do you maybe also plan to do any special collaborations like in Vain you did when Ronnie passed, when, let's say, whole Irish scene got together to do the tribute to him? You were performing together with the guys from U2, with Sinead and many others.
Haven't thought about it really. But you might be putting some ideas into my head now, I think.
It was really interesting finding to see when you performed together, because it's such an emotional song when you did it, and it really...
Yeah. There was a song that Bono and somebody else wrote. That there was a tribute to Ronnie, I think, at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was part of a television show featuring Ronnie. At the time, he was suffering from cancer, and he had lost his hair and his beard, and he looked quite different, but it was quite an emotional experience. But there was the Bono and U2, and who else was on? Shane MacGowan, I think, was on it. Sinead O'Connor, Keela, that group, ourselves. Yeah, it was a great gathering together of people, and there was such a great warmth and generosity about everybody's contribution, because we spent a few days in the studio doing the sound recording, and everybody was so generous with their time and willing to spend whatever time was necessary to make it as good as possible. And a great feeling of camaraderie in the studio itself, you know, great, like a big circle of friends getting together.
John, really, it was an honor. Especially since it's like 10 years when I first saw you, and now I'm actually doing an interview with you. Like I said, I never did even imagine it. So really, thank you once again. Big honor, and even bigger.
No, you're very welcome. It's like having a chat with, I was going to say, an old friend, a young friend. And sure, we could do it again after a while, and maybe think of some other. I didn't make any notes. Sometimes I make notes before an interview and little reminders, but I didn't do anything like that today. I just thought let it run freely and see.
So you have any closing thoughts? You used to say hello to somebody.
Yeah, I wonder. I'd say hello to the lady promoter who used to bring us to Slovenia, Milica Tasink. She's married to Hans Tasink, the blues singer, guitarist. So, Melissa, if you're looking in, thinking of you, and all the good times we had together in Austria and Slovenia and all around that part of the world, fond memories, and leading in the Jaro. Anyway, it tastes good. It mightn't sound good, but it tastes good.
Yeah, definitely. And
cooked in garlic. Plenty of garlic.
Yeah, and if you have a glass of good wine, it's even better.
Yes, yeah, even better. Even 2 glasses is better than 1. But you know that expression, 1 is enough, 2 is too many, and 3 isn't half enough.
I haven't heard that, but we have something similar, yeah. By us, it's like when, how should I put it? If you are starting, then better to go all in or something like that. So thank you once again, and I will send you the data and the picture, yes.
Oh yeah, yeah, that'd be great. Okay, we'll talk again, please God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a great one and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, thanks very much, Nate. Nice talking to you.
Bye.